mistake, some of the pain, some of the suffering that a lot of families go through. And I can talk obviously from very close experience or sad experience of that. But it's horrible. It wrecks people's lives. It's not just the people that have the cancer; it's the families, it's the loved ones that are left behind.
Always a fun meeting, that one, Steve, isn't it?
It is always a good meeting. There is perhaps it's been paired with, because it's also a memorial for a banger driver who was also lost for cancer, and the two trophies have been paired together, so it's all one day where Mendips Bristol supports cancer. I'm not 100% convinced having the pink ribbon on the July date really works for the Formula 2s, because it's obviously on the back of the European, it's on the back of Skegness, it clashes with other meetings, there's holiday time. I can see that it's a great idea, like I say, having it all together, but maybe it just doesn't quite work having the pink ribbon on that day. But we'll see what comes out of Sunday.
Maybe next year. I mean, this is just an idea. Why not have it as the meeting final trophy at the British? If it's a 2-dayer. There's just an idea for you, Mr. Bunter.
There you go. It's an idea, but whether or not that would perhaps, whilst it would obviously have a bigger entry of cars, would that then belittle the trophy and what it stands for?
Or, if you're going to think about it this way, it's all about raising money. And if people were forewarned that Sunday is Pink Day, see it pink, raising lots of money, having a bit of fun before the big race is going on with the bike race and the welly wanging and whatever else they're going to do this year.
Yeah, see that's all good, and that unfortunately that we wouldn't have time to do that on the British Championship Day. So it's a good idea. Plenty of ideas out there, but mind you, how can we be talking about next year when this year hasn't even happened yet? Stop wishing my life away, Johnny.
Rare occasion this year is obviously with the World Final venue being at Hendersford this year. We have more than just the one meeting, and we actually have the grand total of 5 this year. Obviously, the World Final weekend is the other 2, but then there's opportunity for the Formula 2s to get involved for the National Championship weekend for the hot rods.
Yes, interesting idea, and I do take my hat off to Inca for trying this. Like I say, an interesting idea. Will it work? Even I haven't got the answer to that. I don't know.
And I tell you what, if you are keen, I've just looked at this. The meeting on the Saturday, I believe, starts at 1:00. Yes. And if you're keen, hot-foot it up the M6, and Stokes on at 5.
I hadn't even considered that.
He says, "Oh, I'm tempted now," but there you go. Stokes on at 5:00, so that's a nice little bit of planning there.
I might just have to fire up the Fiesta on what may have been a blank weekend. I don't know. I just, because to be honest with you, good point there. I hadn't thought of that, so fair point, well made there.
Cow and beef, obviously, on the Saturday night, as is tradition, and then obviously the Sunday, second day of the Hendersford, and then it's Holland time for many people, as Posterholt has its weekend. And then Cow and beef and Crimond, a bit of a Scottish weekend as well. Mildenhall on the Saturday night. And then a whiteout at St Day. Now, this is very rare. It's been tried before at Bristol, where they had the white top C-grade cavalcade, as it was in 1994. They were hoping to have in the region of 50 to 60 to 100 white tops. They ended up with about 25, unfortunately, which was still good. And
yeah, that was, yes, of course it was. There was never going to be about that number of white tops. It was actually the very first race, I think, on the World Final weekend at Ringwood in 95 had a whole white top race as well. Oh, well, there you go.
Yes, I know. My uncle won it. Yeah, so there you go. So, yeah, Neil Hampshire won that, the white top whirlwind, I think it was called at things. It was 4 shock absorbers, £100, and a kiss from Carol Cole. You can't get better than that, can you? Yes, so St Day is having a white top bonus. So every white top who turns up gets 50 quid. No.
Yeah, but they don't just have to turn up. They must turn up. They must do the parade. Actually, stood on their car and race.
And race. And it's Les Palmer's money. Should there be any more incentive than that? Go and take some of Les Palmer's money. Yes, Silverline Trophy is up for grabs. A trophy which was raced for back in the day has now resurrected in more of a spiritual home than where it was previously raced, which was Barford. So it's good to see that St Day is going to have potentially exactly.
Yeah, well done, Les Palmer, because he could have just put up the trophy. He didn't need to put up £50 start money for every white top present. So hey, all you white tops out there, get down to Cornwall.
And that could get out there, yeah. Get down to St Day. It would be absolutely brilliant to see you. I can't guarantee a pasty for you this time if you're from Scotland, because
I was almost tempted to sneak out in my brother's shale car.
indeed. Well, would you be coming out as white, Steve?
What else would I be?
Well, you've got a history from Ringwood, haven't you?
I've certainly never been anything other than a white, never would be. And history from Ringwood, crikey, you're talking 2 decades ago. That is when I decided, hey ho, I must be one who writes about it or talks about it. But no, the thought did cross my mind at one stage, but no, it's that won't be happening before you get too excited. But it did cross my mind.
Go. So that's Ryan's at that. Thanks for coming on the show again, Steve.
No problem.
Yeah, good old Lively. He's always worth a good comment, and he was on fine form that day with us. Yeah, yesterday when we recorded most of that information. Obviously, he is somewhere out and about at the moment. He's not at the track. He did say that, unfortunately, he had to... Unfortunately, the only time in ages that he had to lock up at work was the day that he wanted to get a quick getaway. So, unfortunately, not going to happen. But there we go. We are live here on Stoxradio, the F2 show, semi-on special. This is brilliant. We are having a fantastic response to the show. I mean, I've not had so many live listeners, like I say, for quite some time. And we have, actually, I can say this now, any episodes of other alternative oval broadcasts had not had these figures live. I can tell you that for a fact. So it just proves that when you've got the technology to do it, and you've got the conversation to do, and all the information, we can do some great stuff here. So, well, that's all the stuff that we're running out of. We're just waiting for the checker flag to fall at Skegness. Once we've got that result, we can then bring you the grids. Now, one thing I can confirm to you guys is that the semi-finals pole sitters will be George McMillan in semi-final 1 and Dave Polly in semi-final 2, unless, and this is a very unlikely scenario, because at the moment I would say, no, in fact it will be, semi-final 1 will be George McMillan and semi-final 2 will be Dave Polly. Doesn't make a lot of difference. Years ago it did, because obviously they used to have a flick of a coin, and the number one person used to send the other person. So say if there was a Bill Batten and Roll Speak. Speaky would say, right, there's semi-finals at Newton Abbot and Hartlepool. He'd send Bill to Hartlepool just to rub his nose in it and say, right, go the hard way. Third place is still up for grabs. I can say that now. It's going to be either Rob Speak or Andrew Palmer, so it will be either on the semi-finals. So it will be those guys, because Speaky cannot catch Dave Polly now. Even if he scores 20 points, Polly scores not actually. He could still no. I think my maths is correct. It will take something a little bit superhuman for Speaky to catch that, but he does need to basically raise his game. He can only score 26 points tonight, Polly can score 32. Now, if Polly was there, so he'd bring him up to 178. And obviously he'd lose 9 points from that, because obviously one of his 16 pointers would have to be dropped. Because, as you know, the best 5, it's a new complicated system for Brisker. The attendance points count, but the best 5 scores plus the attendance points go forward to the total. Now, on the old system, of course, that used to mean that, if you did one qualifying round, aced it, you'd be in the semi-final. Not anymore, which is kind of good, really, because then you don't get the situations where one person does a no-show and that's it. And you don't get as many no-shows now. With the semi-finals being on most days. I wasn't a fan of the semi-finals being at one track. I do like the fact that something like that. I mean, next year, I don't think it's going to be as well subscribed as it is this year, especially from the kind of traditional outposts of Scotland and the southwest, because obviously it is a shell round next year, because Kings Lynn has the semis and it's a muddy hall world. So we'll wait to be seen, because like I say, there's a couple of drivers in the West Country having a little bit of a nibble and seeing whether they can have a bit of fun. So, massive bit of filling for the time being whilst we wait for the results to come through from the Skeg Vegas. Obviously, the stunt show must be overrunning. But like I say, yeah, so what we can say at this precise moment in time is that the front rows will be made up of the following 4 drivers, which is George McMillan, Dave Polly, Andrew Palmer, and Rob Speak. Barring a mathematical nightmare, that will happen. The only person that can catch Speak and Palmer is Chris Burgoyne. He has 8 points at this precise moment in time. Again, he drops 14. He'll drop 9 points to bring him back to 5 plus 28. So his actual score, so if he adds 20 onto that, bring him up to 139. He'd lose 9 points there. So if he loses 9 points onto that score, it brings him back to 130. He cannot now mathematically catch Speak or Palmer. So yes, we have got a front row. It will be made up of George McMillan and Dave Polly. Those are the 2 pole sitters. Which semi is all depends on who's on 3rd and 4th. So that's what we've got at the moment. 5th and 6th is still up for grabs, as is 7th and 8th, 9th and 10th. I think 11th and 12th is kind of sorted now. It all depends on where the lower reaches are at the moment, and it still remains at the moment that the bottom score is now 44 points, but it does leave Ollie Skeels is the man who's currently missing out. He has 44 points, but like I say, he has still got a car, but he's concentrating more on saloon stocks at the moment. His brother Marcus doing very well in those. Jamie Avery, 43 points at the moment. John Broach, 43 points. Steve Gilbert, unfortunately, that's his lot for the night. I think he didn't go through in the heats and certainly didn't go through in the consolation. So he's waiting, unfortunately, on a reserve place there. So he will more than likely probably get in as a reserve. There's quite a few drivers, I would say, that will probably have a go on the shale, on the tarmac from the shale. But it all depends, really. Was quite shocked last year with the amount of drivers that did take up the shale option, and obviously we had the likes of the Daz Kitson cars and things like that going out on a hire car. Also, the likes of the Poly cars as well. So, looking at it here, the reserve points at the moment is going to be 38, and it's all going to be down on who had the best score. And looking at it at the moment, the one person I can guarantee will probably have that reserve place up for grabs is the Shell guys again. There's a lot of them in a bunch there. So we have like Simon Farrington, Luke Branson, Neil Brigg, and Michael Lund. They're all on 38 points, which will probably be the bottom cut-off for the reserves, because I can see there's only really a few drivers below. who can catch them now. And, well, it's interesting to see. The My Money is the one that's going to do a late charge.